Hi everybody, in today's video we are going to explore 5 childhood scars that we can turn into superpower as adults. For over 5 years now, I've been on a healing journey and I went on multiple levels, starting with my body, with my gut, and then with my mental health and a soul search journey. I believe that plenty of the things that I found can be useful for others too, since healing is unsexy, is not curated for Instagram, and honestly, I believe they don't really have hashtags. But then there are people who still feel stuck because they are repeating the same patterns, and some, even if they do the work, it doesn't feel like they are improving a lot. And I know how debilitating it feels, and because I've been there times and times again, I believe what I found can help others too. And that is because it helped me get out of my own fire. By the end of the video, you will find that you will have a deeper understanding of how you can use your childhood wounds, your childhood scars, as superpowers as adult. Before we dive any deeper, let me introduce you to 2 affiliate programs that help support this channel. I have been using these products for a lot of time now, and I want to share that with you. First one is Hostinger, and it's the platform where I hold my website. I created my own website by myself, and it's really simple and intuitive and drag and drop friendly. You don't need a custom design team. You don't need $500 invoices for one basic homepage. You can do whatever you want with it. I host on it my store, my blog, and my homepage as well. You can customize your own website and make it your own however you want it. You have the AI tools that come in handy, and all that for just $3.99 per month in the first year. If you're thinking to start your own website, click down on the link below in the description box and you will get 20% off, and I'll get a small fee as a thank you from the website. The second one is Amazon affiliate storefront, and I have gathered there things that helped me in my life and made my life easier, from books to kitchen tools, from beauty products to gear that helped me in content creation, and many other more. There are things that I have used for over a year, for instance for the cosmetics, and I recommend them wholeheartedly. If you want to shop at Amazon through my links, Amazon is going to give me a thank you commission, and that will also help the content on this channel. And of course, with no extra cost for you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting independent creators like me. And now let's dive in our subject. Growing up, I had to learn how to read the energy of the room. I had to understand if I was safe or not, if it was okay to ask for something or not. I have learned very, very early that adults loved me because I was an easy child. I remember people saying about me that I was the kind of kid that you put in a place and stays there just like a doll. And whenever I've done something energetic, adults would get upset, would punish me, and would retract their love towards me. So I understood, and I embraced this image of the good girl, and I kept it even further than the day that I left my parents' home. And you know what? For a while it worked. But the thing is, I thought that once I'm leaving my parents' home, it's going to be done with it. But no, it follows you no matter how far you run, unless you heal it. When you grow up walking on eggshells and decoding the unpredictable adults around you, you develop something extraordinary, and that is emotional sensitivity. With healing and self-awareness, this emotional sensitivity can be turned into something amazing, like empathy or emotional intelligence. I was terrified of people not liking me, of people rejecting me. That fear has followed me for so long. I've done so many things to prove myself, to be there for them, to do things for them, just for them to like me, to the point that I forgot who I was, and to the point that I became again that little easy child that pleases adults. But then there comes a day in which you get fed up with shrinking yourself, with pretending, and with living in fear. So you stop it. You start to retract yourself from social situations, from relationships, from friendships, from jobs that make you lose who you are, or that require you to be someone you are not. I see life like a train station. Some passengers will just pass by, some passengers will be passionate about what you're doing there and will stay for a while, and some will even get a job there and become partners. But the truth is, most of the people will come and go. And in my point of view, I have two options right here. One, complain about the fact that people are coming and going, or two, accept the fact that people are coming and going, accept the flow of the situation, and mind my own business. And the reality of the fact is that you cannot please everyone. And if you are learning that in your body as well, that is when freedom comes. Today, whether I'm coaching somebody, or I am in a photo shoot, or I am creating a video for YouTube, I use my emotional sensitivity to listen, to feel, to understand. I meet people where they are. I validate them. I listen to them, but I don't lose myself anymore. You know, I'm here to create results, not to embrace excuses. And even with my friends, I stopped pleasing them. I started having the hard conversations. What's the worst that can happen? And even with you, what's the worst that can happen if you start having the hard conversations with the people around you? Garbage taking itself out of your soul house and leave you with a clean space? That's what you're afraid of? Think about it. As kids who grow up in volatile environments, we learn very, very fast to shapeshift. We learn how to cope with adults who are not predictable. We learn how to talk to them, how to please, how to lie, how to hide, how to shrink, how to lose ourselves completely. We stay quiet when we have something big to say. We shrink ourselves to not disturb people around us. We hold back when we would love to shine. And for a long time, I was afraid to talk about my wins. I didn't want for people around me to feel like I am outshining them and make them feel bad with my success. So when somebody would complain about something, I would say, oh yeah, I struggle too with X, Y, Z. And sometimes I would even make my struggle sound harder, harsher, heavier than theirs, so they can feel a little bit better, a little bit less burdened than I was. And that was even when things were going well for me as a result of years of work, of discipline and so on. Even then, I would be afraid to embrace my wins and to be happy about them. And I finally understood that it wasn't kindness, it wasn't love, it wasn't confidence, It was my wounded inner child who was telling me to sit down and shrink myself. And that's when the real shift started, because I started using this car as a superpower in my business. And that is because I can spot opportunities before others can. I can see the patterns and solve problems even before they start being a real problem. And I can read in between the lines of a conversation and see the underneath real questions. What once made me anxious, now it's making me effective. And the only difference is I don't let it run the show, I partner with it. But when you're in a tough moment, in a conversation, in a room full of people, in a conference, in any kind of situation in which you might not know how to react, ask yourself if it's you running the show, or if it's the wounded child that's running the show. And if it's the wounded child, take it by the hand and tell it that it is okay. Not everybody has to like you, not everybody has to agree with you. It's all right. Tell your child that you're taking the lead right now. This is how healing happens. This is how you turn survival into superpower. When your childhood didn't give you comfort, love, attention, praise, eventually you learn to give them to yourself. It's not cute, it's not pretty, it's not something you write on Instagram about. But the day you become an adult and you realize this, something shifts. As a kid, I felt like the love that I got was conditioned. I didn't get much encouragement, and pretty much I was a lonely child, even though the house was always full of people. My grandma used to tell me a lot about the fact that I have to learn how to clean and how to cook in order to keep a man. But her husband, my grandpa, was an abusive alcoholic who cheated on her, who beat her, who was making her life miserable. The other grandpa, he was a doormat. No voice, no power, no nothing. My father, he was alcoholic, he was addicted, he was compulsive, he was volatile. So wherever I looked, there was fear dressed up as love. I remember I had a cassette tape. That is back in the 90s, and I was around 6 or 7. It was a woman with long hair until the knees, dressed up in traditional clothing. She was singing traditional folk music. It was a co-worker of Mom's. She was beautiful, and I admired her for that. She was so unapologetic, and she was doing her craft, and she made me feel like I can do it too. And it was a big deal back then for a label to have your music put out, especially for that little town, actually for that little mountain village. It was such a big deal to break those barriers and get out of them. I found her inspiring. I found her like a role model. But later, I found a picture with her and other co-workers of Mom, and she had short hair. So I asked what happened. And Mom told me in such a natural tone, in such a way that it felt like it's the right thing to do when you get married. She said to me that she got married and her husband asked her to cut off her hair in order to be less attractive to other men, and then she stopped singing too. I just couldn't comprehend it. That was what love was? To drown your dreams? To soothe somebody's insecurities? I didn't have a role model. Whenever I looked around, I've seen broken relationships, and for a long time, I thought I was the broken one because I didn't want a man to tell me what to do. I didn't want a man to tell me to cut off my hair. I didn't want a man to tell me that I have to quit on my dreams in order to not make him feel fear. I didn't want to shrink myself in order to be loved. But then I realized that I was not broken. I was actually awake. So, what was I supposed to do? I became my own role model. I started taking the hard decisions, and I started pushing boundaries on myself, and I started showing up and keeping my word to myself. I've done the hard things, I've done the unsexy things, and I've done the things that I knew for sure that tomorrow me will thank the today me for doing it. And yes, I've got people laugh at me, I've got people rolling their eyes at me, whispering, commenting, sometimes to my face, sometimes not. I kept doing the hard things that I had to do for myself. And when I didn't have any idea on how to deal with things, I turned to books, and the books became my teachers, became my role models, became sometimes even my family. I had their wiser, smarter, nicer role models than I had in real life. And it might sound like woo-woo, like magic. And guess what? I do not care. They helped me. And because of all of that, today I'm in a position in which I can help others. And it's not from fear, it's not from needing approval, it's from overflow. It's like a mountain spring on a hot day, refreshing and never ending. Do you show up for yourself? Do you choose yourself? Or are you waiting for someone else to do it for you? Really ask yourself, what type of adult did you need when you were little? And become that adult. Because you know what? Life doesn't feel as threatening when you have your own back. When you grow up with unstable boundaries, when you are forced to mature too fast, when even if you said no, it didn't mean too much, you start to adapt. You become the good kid, the soft one, the strong one, and then you let people in and out of your life like it doesn't even matter. But now, as an adult, you don't do that anymore, because those broken boundaries taught you the sacred power of no. It taught you to protect your own time, your own energy, your own space. And that is because you do not feel like you're thriving in chaotic situations in which you have to adapt still. Now, you don't just have boundaries, you honor them and you protect them. I was an online model for plenty years now, and at first it felt creative, expressive, freeing. But over time, it started feeling like I was begging for people to see me, begging people to buy time with me, begging attention, begging for validation. It drained me. I felt like I always had to show up in a way that I didn't want to sometimes. I always felt like I have to be available. I always felt like I had to give even when I didn't have from where. And eventually I made the wildest decision that I've made in 14 years, to take a 3 weeks break. And I don't mean work from phone kind of vacation, no. No DMs, no posting, no nothing. I did have my system in place, so I wasn't worried about things not working. And guess what? I survived it. And not only that, I also had time to think and reflect, to see what's important to me, to see how I can evolve as a human further, how I can become better. And it also gave me time to further my inner child healing. So I decided, no more FOMO. I stopped chasing the white rabbit in trying to stay relevant. I stopped thinking that I have to be online 24/7, 365 days a year to be successful. I stopped burning myself out. That decision freed 40 plus hours a week. But not only that, it gave me 365 days a year of peace in my body. It gave me time to look inward and heal. It gave me time to develop my business. It gave me time to develop other skills that I can use and stack up. It gave me time to understand that if something it's not feeling all right, if it's a job, a project, a deal, a person, or a type of food, I can just let it go. It's okay to do that. Can you set boundaries and stick to them? Can you notice when you want to break them and then look inward and realize it's actually fear talking? Yeah, that fear of not being liked, that fear of not being enough, that fear of being rejected. But the most interesting thing is when you heal your wounded inner child and you stop ignoring it, it stops screaming. And eventually, it starts whispering and then perhaps even singing and dancing with you. My inner child is not sabotaging me anymore. I took her by the hand and I said, hey, it's alright, I'm here, I'm with you, I'm leading you now. This is my job now, you're safe. And now she helps me create. She's not a scar anymore, she's not a wound anymore, she became my muse. I wrote Unsexy Healing without hashtags from the heat of my own fire. I had a rough childhood, one that I tried to smother with sex, drugs, and rock and roll in my adulthood. But then, when I hit rock bottom, I understood that I have to open up for the unknown, for the pain, for the uncomfortable situations of, no shortcut healing. It's unsexy, it's messy. One day I was alright, the next day I was on the floor, crippled. It's rough. It's not something you can post on Instagram. And that's why I wrote this book, because I know for sure I'm not the only one. I also healed on plenty of levels, because I managed to ruin my life on so many levels, trying to numb that childhood that I had. So I speak about the gut, I speak about diet, I speak about mental health and soul check. If you're ready to get your own healing journey started, or you are already there and you feel like picking a little bit or taking a little bit out of my light, you can find my book on my website or on my Amazon store, and you will find the links down below. Growing up, I was told many times that I'm too much, too soft, too dramatic, too sensitive, and for a while I believed these things. But it took me a while to learn that what they meant by strong was actually being cold. And the thing is, my sensitivity makes me an artist. I studied photojournalism, and for a while I photographed life events. Weddings, baptisms, birthdays. And I remember one bride who texted me and thanked me for one specific picture. It was a picture of her with her grandma, and her grandma had a tear in her eyes while they were speaking softly to each other. Another time, I was photographing a pregnant mom. I caught the baby pushing through the skin, and I've seen the foot of the baby through the skin in that picture. Yes, it can be luck, but more than that, it was me. I was geared up with only one camera body and one lens, one basic 50mm lens, while others had a lot of gear. I could have compared myself to them, but I knew I had me, and that was more than enough. Because the results of those pictures are not just luck. Perhaps they are luck too, but it's been years of work, years of being present, years of listening and of seeing. And that is not luck. This sensitivity also helped me in my healing process. I've learned that I don't have to be tough all the time. I've learned that I can be sensitive. I've learned that I can be sensible. I've learned that I can be soft. I don't have to keep my armor up in order for somebody to not hurt me. I've learned that I can be vulnerable, and that is okay. Because being vulnerable, it's not weakness. It's truth. It's courage. It's connection. Now, let me ask you, where in your life are you hiding your vulnerability? For what in your life are you holding your armor up? What makes you become the strong one? The thing is that the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real ones. It needs more of the people who allow themselves to be soft and vulnerable. Of the people who say, hey, I feel this and I'm not ashamed of it. Your sensitivity is not something to fix. It's something to hold dear. It's your art. It's your edge. Let it light your road. Let it run the show. There is a lot of power in saying, yeah, that happened, but I'm still here. Yeah, that cracked me open, and it made me more. Yeah, there is a scar, but it's a sign I healed. Your emotional wounds are not your baggage. They are your blueprint for healing. And with each single step you take, with every single boundary you make, with every single nurturing action you take for yourself, you are building and healing yourself. And you're turning survival patterns into strengths, into superpowers if you want. You're not writing your legacy only in what you're healing, but also in what you're becoming. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, I want to hear your story in the comments down below. Also press that thumbs up button and of course subscribe to the channel. I also believe that you will love this video on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.